The best-selling Catholic book of the last century was the autobiography of Saint Therese of Lisieux, which is called The Story of a Soul. Saint Therese died in total obscurity in a little obscure town called Lisieux in the north of France in the year 1897. Yet when her relics came to Ireland back in 2001, they brought out 70% of the people of Ireland to see them, and that was way more than the numbers that came out to see St. John Paul II when he came in 1979, which was still a kind of a part of the golden era of the church. So what happened? Well, the Reverend Mother in the convent saw something really special in St. Therese, and towards the end of her life, she died at the age of 24, she was asked to write down something of her spiritual life, and that is what we have in the Story of a Soul. After her death, this was written, read for the first time. It was seen as the pure gold in spiritual terms that it was published, and then, of course, the rest is history. The whole basis of St. Therese's spiritual life comes from the fact that she had a very beautiful, endearing, intimate, affectionate relationship with her own natural father, and all she did was to extend that relationship to her Father in heaven. Jesus said, when you pray, say, Our Father. So that's the primary way that we relate to God, in the same way as we do to our natural fathers. Now, there's three aspects of this relationship that St. Therese had with God that I'd like to talk to you about this evening. Firstly, when she was 4 years of age, she promised God that she would never refuse him anything. That is totally remarkable. When I was 4 years of age, all I wanted was my own way and nobody to tell me anything different. Secondly, when she made her Holy Communion at the age of 11, which was the practice then, she promised God and herself that she would never permit herself to be discouraged. Whatever was to come in her way later on in life, she was going to completely abandon herself to the love and goodness of God, and that was unconditional. Now, this was tested very much, but she remained true to the promise later on in her life when she got TB, died at the age of 24, and had no palliative care whatsoever. And what's more, during this latter stage in her life, she was beset by a spiritual condition called the dark night of the soul, where she lost all sense of the presence of God in her life. The third thing I'd like to share with you is that St. Therese, if we're honest about it, was a somewhat fragile and vulnerable person in her emotional or mental health. In the convent, she found herself overwhelmed by the holiness of the other nuns who were doing all kinds of big penances and long prayers and vigils at night and all the rest of it. And she thought that she could never measure up to these sisters and to all the saints that she was reading about as well. And instead, not allowing herself to get discouraged, she says, I will give to God the one thing that I can. I will make everything a sacrifice of love, and I will do the ordinary things of everyday life, but to do them with extraordinary love. And this became known as her little way of coming to God. And this is a beautiful spirituality, doing ordinary things with extraordinary love, that is easily within the reach of all of us if we don't feel we can do Mother Teresa and do long prayers and do big penances and all the rest of it. Now, what I'd like to do today is to encourage you to look into, educate yourself on this spirituality as something that can deepen your own friendship and relationship with God. And this is very much in keeping with the gospel that we just heard. The apostles were arguing among themselves which of them was the greatest. This shows them up for being quite immature and maybe somewhat vain. And Jesus took a little child and he used the child to show them that we should approach God with the same childlike simplicity, humility and confidence in their Father's goodness and care for them. And this involves a complete change of mind and consciousness from what we're kind of led to do by the world around us, which is all about independence and about security and having big cars and houses and big money and big salaries and everything else, so that we can be independent on our own terms. So where can we learn about this beautiful spirituality of Saint Therese? Well, the best place to start is with the saint herself and this book that she wrote, The Story of a Soul. I have information in the newsletter about how you can get that. It's very easy. It's on Amazon Books. And if there's nobody in your circle that can use the internet, let me know, and I'll be happy to get you a copy of it. Now, also in the newsletter is some information about a YouTube video that is a very good summary of this little way. But if you type into YouTube, Saint Therese, Little Way, there'll be a whole ton of videos that will come up that will bring you into what it is to live in this way. Now, it needs to be remembered and I suppose underlined that the most basic part of any spirituality, any Christian spirituality, is that we are dedicated to daily prayer. The Catechism, the Catholic Church, says that prayer is necessary for salvation, in the sense that the only way that we'll ever get to know someone and be friends with them is if we talk to them and spend time in their presence. And that is precisely what prayer allows us to do. This is the reason why, at least over in our Dahi and in Frosses, I go on all the time like a broken record about the importance of prayer and the importance of committing at least 20 minutes of time to this every day. And this is a figure that I've kind of pulled out of the air a bit, but it's the time that you need to say the rosary and then to have some personal morning prayers and evening prayers. Also going along with this is the wise counsel of St. Francis de Sales, who said if we're too busy to pray, we're too busy. We have the wrong set of priorities. The principal difference between a lapsed Catholic and a committed Catholic is precisely in this commitment to daily prayer, because without prayer there is no relationship with God and he's just some distant figure off in history or in the clouds. To finish, I'd like to give you the definition of prayer given to us by Saint Therese. She said, "For me, prayer is a surge of the heart. It is a simple look turned towards heaven. It is a cry of recognition and of love. It embraces us both in trials and in joy." So to sum up what I'd like to leave you with this evening, the little way spirituality of Saint Therese can teach us to approach God with childlike trust, simplicity, humility, and abandonment, which are all very special qualities of the kingdom of God.